What's up, Tech Family? This is Josh High Tech, and on this episode, I'm going to talk about class and ID selectors in regards to CSS. So let's get straight into it. All right, so to start things off, I'm going to get into why this is very important and going into what are class and ID selectors. So the reason why this is very important is because this will benefit you in a way where you can have the same HTML element, which, like, as you can see on this screen, we have 4 paragraph tags, and then but the key of this is that you can present it differently depending on its class or ID. So you can be able to separate each of these, because as you can see, if I try to change this to a different color, let's say I want to change it to green, everything changes to green. If I change it to blue, everything changes to blue. You get the difference? And so this is going to help you so that you can individually change just this line and keep the rest of it at the line that it is, or the color that it is, or whatever the font that it is. You can be able to just customize one part of the same HTML element. So let me bring it back. And what I have right now on the code is I have a saying for you all to just keep you motivated. Like, you can do it, code more. And since I'm still learning Spanish and I'm casi bilingüe, I have a translation of it which says puedes hacerlo codificar más, and that just means the same exact thing as you can do it, code more. And another way you can actually say that is si se puede codijo más, but I just wanted to use this one because I like saying a little bit more words in Spanish. So that's what I have. But yeah, let's get straight into the main code. So the first things first, I want to get into what is a class selector. So a class selector is a name preceded by a full stop. So for example, this one you can code more. You can do it, code more. I'm going to do a class selector. So what you do is write class, and then you put this up here, right? And then what that means is that you just add whatever name you want to give it inside of this right here. I usually used to call it just a string, but you can just put it inside the string, and then this will show it. And so down here, when I'm writing my code, now all you have to do is just put a .1, and then on here, then you can color it or change it whatever you want. So this time I want to just put blue, and then bam, there you go. So now look at the difference. The rest of the code is still in white, but now we have, you can do it the first line because I named it with the class selector to 1, and then now it's code more. And so now that's pretty much a class selector. So now an ID selector is a name preceded by a hash character. So for example, here you go, the ID, same thing as you would do with class, but then you name an ID. This time I want to name it 2. So in the code, I'm gonna come down here, and then I am going to name this 2 in this font. And do you see the difference between this one and that one? The class as well as the ID. The difference between the two is, as you can tell, one of them has a dot before the name of it, and this one has a hashtag. That's something that's very important for you to remember. And so you see what happened in this one. I named it 2, and then I colored it red. So now, as you can see, now we have 2 lines that's completely separate. And like I said, you can continue to keep doing this. If I want to class this one, and I name it 3, and then ID this one, which will be 4. Ooh, all right. There we go. So we got, I think this one is 3, and we're gonna change this color to green, and then we got 4, and then we're going to change it to, let's do something like yellow. Now look, so as you can see as an example, all I did was use a class and ID selectors to name to style each of these and make it his own. And like I said, you can do a lot of different things with this. If you need to change the size of it, let's say you need to change it to 2 rem. Look at that. You can do a various amount of things to be able to style this. You see how I'm changing the code? Well, only that one. All the other ones are still the same. And like, you can do a various amount of things in order to make this work to your advantage. And the biggest benefit of this, like I said, is that you can present it differently, and depending on the class and ID, even though it has the same HTML element. And you might be asking, what is the difference between an ID and the class? And pretty much the difference between that is that ID can be used to identify one element, whereas a class can be used to identify more than one element. So you can use a class to identify multiple elements, while as an ID, you only can use it, or you should only use it for only to identify one element. But yeah, other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this video. This is something that I think will be very beneficial to new developers to be able to grow and be able to make the most out of this opportunity. And this will help you learn a lot more code and be more efficient in your code, so that you can style the things that you want to style better. Because I'm telling you, you can do a lot with this, knowing that you can use a class or an ID selector in order to change your code very quickly without having to do all that extra stuff that you may have to do inside like your HTML. Like, you can just literally just class, ID, and then bam, you're good to go, and then you can write some beautiful code. So hope you all enjoyed it. Espero que tengas un buen día. Ciao.